Good afternoon to you, those of you viewing us live on the National Television Network and those of you joining us via the pages of the Government of St. Lucia. For yet another year, I would like to welcome you to the media launch of ARC. It is ARC 2022-2023, and we're excited to be able to be here for yet another year for an event that has become a staple on our tourism calendar and for a number of partners who have made it possible for a number of years. Of course, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, in collaboration with Events St. Lucia, they're getting ready to welcome the fleets of ARC and ARC January, who are set to cross 2,700 nautical miles, and every time I have to say that, it gives you an idea of how much of an adventure this is. And the fleets are going to be, of course, at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. There are a number of partners and sponsors year after year making it possible, and a number of them are here with me in studio. Of course, I would like to recognize these individuals, some of which who you will be hearing from. They will be giving you the insight as to the preparations for the ARC, and those of them who are also very integral in ensuring that ARC takes place for yet another year, especially here in St. Lucia. So let me recognize Ms. Riz Lorraine Sidoni, who is the CEO of Events Company of St. Lucia. Mr. Thaddeus Antoine is also here with us, and he is the chairman of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority on the board of directors. We also have Mr. Anthony Bagas, who is the chairman of the ARC Planning Committee, Mr. Jean Deveau, who is the general manager of the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. Also, Ms. Peter Cozier, World Cruising Club. She's the event manager for the Caribbean and here in St. Lucia as well. We have the Tourism Authority team, of course, integral in ensuring that this takes place. Also, we're saying Events Company of St. Lucia team, the ARC sponsors who year after year come on board and ensure this is a reality. We're saying good afternoon to all of you, and thank you so much, of course, for being here with us. To give you a little bit of insight as to the importance of ARC to St. Lucia, because ARC has become, well, St. Lucia has been home to the ARC for a number of years, and to provide us with a little bit of insight, and I'm sure he's very excited that we're doing this for yet another year. We're having a conversation with Mr. Thaddeus Antoine. Thaddeus, it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you, and I know that when it comes to events like the ARC, that really just brings significant value to St. Lucia as a tourism destination. You know, it's something that you're always excited about. So good afternoon to you, and I can imagine that you're excited for this one.
Good afternoon, Homer. Indeed, I'm very excited about it. Yet another year of the ARC. You talk about a staple. It's a 33-year staple.
Yes, quite a few years.
33 years of doing the ARC. And the ARC has really evolved into just not the ARC itself, but we have January, ARC January. We also have the Wool ARC. We're going to hear more about. I'm excited about the ARC coming in St. Lucia. First, not just about the impact of St. Lucia, but excited that we're able to secure the ARC for another 3 years to come on our calendar, which is quite exciting. And the impact of the ARC is quite immense, very, very immense. We talk about from the fisher folk, the farmers. You look at in terms of the beverages, Wynwood Brewery, because sailors, it's tough, as you indicated, 2,700 nautical miles out of Las Palmas to St. Lucia. It's tough on the sea. When they get here, the first thing they love is a pizza, a cold pizza, which of course is being made by Heineken St. Lucia right here in St. Lucia. So certainly keep people employed in brewery. There's consumption of rum and coke. They love drinks from St. Lucia Distillers, which happens to be a great supporter, a partner in the ARC as well. So St. Lucia Tourism Authority, along with Events St. Lucia, who really creates the entire event, and IGY Marina, and indeed the ARC organizers themselves, we look forward to hosting the ARC once again this year.
Indeed, one of the things that you've mentioned, and I agree with you completely, is we've been seeing the growth of the ARC in St. Lucia. So at first, we started with the main event for the ARC, but we're seeing St. Lucia getting involved in ARC January, which came on board quite recently, and we're seeing that also extending into February as well.
Yes.
So the number of visitors who are going to be here, we know that is always great for of course, our economy and the tourism sector as well. Can you speak to the number of people that will be benefiting from the ARC being in St. Lucia for yet another year?
Yeah. We expect some 250 sailors coming on board, and their children among them. But the top of sailors, 250. but there are lots of family who join the sailors who fly into the country itself, which is quite immense, particularly out of the European countries. It helps quite a bit, and there's a great multiplier effect. So while I can't pinpoint the exact number it affects, it has the effect on, I know it's great. It's a very immense, the impact is really, really good for St. Lucia.
Definitely agreed. And in terms of you seeing this continuing, of course, being bolstering our tourism sector, in terms of the growth of the event when it comes to the locals being involved in it, because I know that's one of the things that we've also seen. So we, like you mentioned, we see the farmers coming on board and being a part of it with the farmers market. You know, the IGY Rodney Bay Marina, of course, becomes alive, and we see it's a party. It definitely is fun for not just the visitors, but you know, the locals getting involved in it as well, the vendors getting involved in it as well. So quite a few people look forward to the Ark of the Year.
I don't know if it's a coincidence, but somehow the first arrivals are normally around December 14th. And you know, for us in St. Lucia, December 14th really indicates the start of Christmas, the start of the festivities. And for years, and we continue to do so, there's different parties that take place at the marina and different areas. So it gives our creatives a good avenue to show off their talents and skills. It also gives the creative industries, in terms of our event planners, an opportunity to set up the venues, provide stage lighting, sound. That's all part of it. And the boaters themselves, who will take part in terms of day trips while the visitors are here. So I will look forward. It's great. It's really immense. I call it a celebration, really, and I always look forward to it. Always have been. Yeah.
Indeed, it's a celebration that takes quite a bit of planning. And to tell us a little bit about the planning aspect on, you know, when it comes to the Ark and the preparation that goes into the Ark, Peter Kozia is here with us for yet another year. And Peter, it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you, because you have the insight into, you know, the event itself, the preparation when it comes to the sailors leaving Las Palmas. So I can imagine that this year is a special year for you, coming out of 2020, coming out of 2021. This year has a different feel.
Thank you for having me, Hannah. Yes, you're absolutely right. COVID, the 2 years of COVID, it was like being in a drought, wasn't it? And all the sailors, when we start planning in Las Palmas, the sailors are down there from October. And before that, they are getting their boats ready and coming through and getting excited and getting their provisions. So the flotilla which we had just now was the start of the Ark in Las Palmas. That's almost at the end of it. So the excitement that builds up and the planning that goes into the events here, especially, I mean, here we have partners, ECSL, SLTA, and IGY, and we plan. We have our Ark committee meetings. We have our Ark committee chairman, Mr. Big Ass, who goes through with it all the time with us to make sure that everything is planned as it's supposed to be, that we get the best that we can for the sailors coming through, as well as for St. Lucia itself. There's a synergy between Ark and St. Lucia, because this is where the partying is. This is where everyone has completed, crossed the Atlantic to come here to celebrate with St. Lucia. So yeah, the planning is a bona fide amount of time that we put in, and it's an enjoyable thing to do, hard work, but it always pays off once you see the actual events taking place here in St. Lucia.
Indeed. Now, I know I saw some 145 vessels, almost 800 crew members. And one of the things that I noted is that there's actually a St. Lucian family who's a part of the Ark this year. And they've been doing it for 3 years. So the experience for the sailors is the stories that, you know, we also love hearing. But in addition to that, we hear that children are usually a part of it as well.
Oh, yes. This year, we have 24 children under the age of 16. The youngest is a little girl, 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
So she will officially have been a sailor from the time she's 2 years old. We've had younger, we've had older, we've had more, but 24 is a good number for the kids coming down. It's always a wonderful thing to watch them and see them when they arrive, because like I will say, and everyone else says, 99% of the globe is not even going to consider crossing the Atlantic, much less being able to do it. And a 2-year-old is going to be able to do that. So yeah, we have a lot of children that's coming through. The family that lives here, yeah, it's father, son, Michael and Christian Richings, and they will be on Skylark 2. They're in the racing division. I think currently They're number 11, so they're not doing too badly, and we're looking forward to seeing when they get in.
Very nice. Of course, in addition to that, we have ARC January, which is not as old as the ARC, but it's growing as well as an event in itself. Tell us a little bit about ARC January and what we can expect for 2023.
Okay, so we used to have ARC Plus, which has moved on its own because it was something to keep. There were so many people applying for ARC that we went through that. Then we thought about it, and Christmas is a wonderful time to have the ARC come down, but then people want to be with their families, crew need to get back to work, they want to celebrate, sometimes they don't want to come down here. COVID made it kind of difficult for families to travel. So we now have ARC January, which is a different it's a different rally because they've gone through the season, and so now they're taking their time to come down and relax with ARC January. It's only a year old. We only started it last year, and this year we have 45 boats that we're looking forward to. But it's a wonderfully slower type of rally without so much pressure as the racing divisions that we have here.
Nice. And in terms of the differences that we're seeing in terms of ARC last year versus this year and the preparation, can you highlight any notable differences?
Now that we don't have the protocols and the
restrictions.
The restrictions, thank you, of COVID. It's back to what used to be ARC and the planning. So there's lots of activity in Las Palmas. There are plenty of participants meeting each other, and they get to make great friends, great groups. Charter boats and other participants who've done it before coming back to do it again, showing the newbies what to do and what not to do. You go through all of the planning stages. You have your seminars, how-tos and what not to do's, making sure that you are covered for immigration and customs and getting in here, getting the children across, preparing for good or bad weather. It's the same that it used to be, and now we have a full-on calendar. Instead of having it being restricted for the COVID, we can have a full-on calendar and open up for all the participants to enjoy what St. Lucia has to offer, which is a lot.
Indeed, quite a bit, and we're excited to have the fleet, of course, join us at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. They left Las Palmas on Sunday, the 20th of November, and we want to give you a little bit of insight for that send-off. So let's take in a video of the send-off. Thank you for staying with us. And if you are just joining, this is the media launch for ARC 2022-2023. We're at it for yet another year. And at this point, I would like to recognize the gold sponsors on board with us this year. Of course, the Wave radio station is the official radio station for Charting the Arc. And that is one that you can definitely participate in, get the opportunity to win some amazing prizes with the Wave radio station when it comes to Charting the Arc. Of course, Flo St. Lucia also on board, Six Car Rental, and Sol EC Limited. These are the gold sponsors, but we have quite a few sponsors, of course, and we will be recognizing them throughout. At this point, I want to have a conversation with Sean Duveau, who's the general manager of the IGY Rodney Bay Marina. And I know when it comes to the ARC, the IGY Rodney Bay Marina puts in quite a bit of work to ensure that they're ready to welcome in the fleet when they arrive in St. Lucia. So, Sean, let me say good afternoon to you. And of course, it's a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Yet another year for the ARC. How are you feeling as we get ready to welcome the fleet?
Well, we're excited, obviously. I mean, every year it's a build-up, as the chairman said earlier on. It's always that anxious moment of you're not sure if they're going to be neatly spread out with the winds that we're having, or are they going to all show up 200 within 2 days. So this year it looks like they're all moving quite nicely, as mentioned earlier on. But we've been preparing from planning the ARC with the chairman, Mr. Begas, right through to today in physical planning and prepping the docks, even informing the tenants as to how the boats are arriving, so they can expect when are the peaks, when are the troughs, kind of thing. Again, we're really happy to do it all over again, thanks to the Tourism Authority, Events Company, World Cruising Club, and all of the sponsors. And I'd just like to say a special thanks as well for the past 2 years to the Ministry of Health, the CMO and her team, who really had the faith in us to allow the event to continue. It was one of the few events that actually continued through the pandemic, and I think we did an exceptional job. So a big thanks to them as well.
Indeed, and in terms of preparation for the ARC at the IGY Rodney Bay Marina, how exactly does that go? Because you hear that the ARC, the IGY Rodney Bay Marina is the destination, but we don't know how much work that you have to do to ensure that you're ready to welcome 145 vessels.
Well, no, I mean, it is a lot of work, and the team at Rodney Bay, we work tirelessly, and it's what we call all hands on deck. There's a lot of fine-tuning behind, there's a lot of planning, and every year the makeup of the boats differ. So for example, this year, some people may think, it's 144, I think, that started. So this seems like fewer boats than previous years. But what we need to remember is in previous years, it was a combination of ARC and ARC Plus that made up the 190, sometimes 210. This year, it's 144 pure ARC vessels, which are largely made up of catamarans. So the monohulls are a lot more this year, but even though the vessel number is less, the people to St. Lucia is about the same, because a catamaran will carry more crew, more people than a monohull would require. So from in terms of organizing, where we'd normally be able to fit 3 boats, we can now only fit a catamaran and a single hull. So there is a dynamic to that in terms of where we are planning to put certain boats. Peter obviously wants to put all the kids together because she wants to have a party for them, which we're trying to put all on one dock. And that in itself, we want to be part of that. We want to make sure all the kids are together because they tend to play together, and some of them make lifelong friends. Having been in Las Palmas together and learning this experience, seeing their parents or captains plan, and then coming to St. Lucia. And as this right here behind us says, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And it really is the finishing point with what we hope, and I think we do an exceptional job where people remember St. Lucia, and we are part of that planning, and we're just happy to be part of it. December, January, and the World Arc, which has returned to St. Lucia. For us, planning the World Arc, as was mentioned earlier on, there's an atmosphere that is built in Las Palmas before the event starts, the December, which St. Lucia can capitalize on for the World Arc, because St. Lucia is the only destination the World Cruising Club puts on a regatta where it starts and ends in St. Lucia. So for the World Arc, we have that benefit of taking part in that atmosphere that the start in Las Palmas happens.
Nice. And can I ask, is there a specific part that you're looking forward to? Is there a highlight for you usually when it comes to the Ark?
For me, it's really just being able to walk the docks and hearing the stories. I mean, some of them, so for example, as part of the events this year, the IGY Rodney Bay Marina is hosting the Huronora Honey Show on December the 10th. And I wanted that event in the marina for one particular reason. Last year, ironically, there was a boat that came across in the Ark to attend the Honey Show.
Oh, wow.
And that boat is actually still a part of St. Lucia's maritime waters that sail and traverse our lovely shores. And for me, those kinds of connections, why did you take part in the Ark? What is the benefit to St. Lucia? How can we, and the chairman spoke about it in the connections of who's benefits from the Ark. The nice thing about the Ark is there's very little vertical integration. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. So today, for example, what I mean by that is today they will have dinner at your restaurant and tomorrow it will be Peter's Coffee House, but today it'll be my taxi and somebody else's. So there's not a tour company that controls it or a taxi association that controls it. And so those benefits that St. Lucia will reap from it is really what motivates us, motivates me, and motivates IGY to continue to be a major player in this, in bringing this event to St. Lucia, because we see the benefit, as we saw with a simple honey show last year, and doing it this year and growing that event. I will add too that a lot of those Ark participants, cruisers and stuff like that, then turn St. Lucia into a home port. So they stay here for 10, 15, 20 years, and they add a social benefit to St. Lucia. So one particular client that comes to mind was very pivotal in the Amy Winehouse Foundation that have provided the musical instruments to the Boys Training Center. So a lot of them do charity work for St. Lucia that benefits our social network here in St. Lucia, and that aspect of it is what is exciting for me.
Very nice. Thank you so much for that insight. I'm very happy that you mentioned last year, because for those of you who are that is hearing about the Ark for the first time, I don't know where you've been for the last 33 years, but we would like to give you a little bit of insight as to what it was for us last year and the year before. So let's take a highlight of Ark 2020-2021.
Get ready to go. Get ready to go. Get ready to go. Get ready to go.
that video here highlighting for us some of the fun experience during ARC 2020-2021. Of course, at this point, I would like to, of course, recognize our sponsors. We do have gold, as you heard earlier, but we also have silver and bronze sponsors. Our silver sponsors this year, we have Lucian Style Development Corp. We also have Mercury Island Marine Supplies Inc. and Yanmar as silver sponsors. Bronze sponsors for the ARC 2022-2023, Massey Stores St. Lucia, as well as Heineken St. Lucia. We have St. Lucia Distillers and Peter and Company Distributors as well. Little later on, we'd of course like to also highlight our supporting sponsors, because there are quite a few people ensuring that ARC goes off smoothly, and of course that the vessels that we're getting ready to welcome here to St. Lucia, they have a fantastic time. And on that note, of course, we'd like to have a conversation with Mistress Lorraine Sidoni, who is the CEO of Events Company of St. Lucia. And I know that every Events Company of St. Lucia ensures that the experience here in St. Lucia is one not to forget. And for those experiencing the ARC for the first time, that they ensure that the next year they look forward to St. Lucia.
Yes.
Look forward to St. Lucia.
It's not how you start, it's how you finish, and you finish in St. Lucia. Yes, so we're happy to be part of that. Events St. Lucia, of course, is part of the ARC Planning Committee, so it's not just an Events St. Lucia thing, it's the Ministry of Tourism, Investment, Creative Industries, Culture and Information, World Cruising Club, ITY Rodney Bay, and of course St. Lucia Tourism Authority, and it's chaired by Anthony Bagas. So it's quite a collaborative effort. And I'm happy that we showed some of the pictures from last year, and I've been following the blogs that are being posted on the World Cruising Club site this year. And I mean, just within 5 days, the adventure has already started. I mean, some of the stories that you see unfolding, I mean, it's amazing. And I sat there wondering, wow, these people are really in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean sailing to St. Lucia. So we better welcome them, and we better make it worthwhile. And boy, we intend to do that. And we intend to do it by giving them such a local, authentic St. Lucian experience and welcome. Even from the time they land and we present them with a welcome basket, that welcome basket has been handcrafted by a local manufacturer, and it's filled with local provision. So it's all about a St. Lucian experience, and Events St. Lucia is well placed and very excited to make that experience materialize. We have a welcome party, and it's done again in collaboration with all the agencies. There's a welcome party, there's an ARC prize giving, there's the farmers market, there are themed parties which they take part in at the various restaurants. So it's all about experience in St. Lucia when they do get here after sailing those 2,700 nautical miles.
Very nice.
Yeah.
One of the things that we look forward to is ensuring that we know, who's going to be the first to reach the IGY Rodney Bay Marina, and it is often exciting to see, which one of the vessels get there. But in addition to that, one of the things I think I've personally looked forward to in recent years is the farmers market. Can we see that returning this year for sure, and hopefully bigger and better?
Yes. I mean, that's where they get to purchase some of the local produce. And so that's, yes, a part of it. But there are so many other things that are all local and authentic that we're happy to just make them, part of the St. Lucian experience, because we also have at the marina a tourism help desk, and this is managed by the St. Lucia Tourism Authority. So persons can go and book their tours, and they can take part in various, tourist St. Lucia activities. So it's all about the St. Lucian experience, but the farmers market, yes, Ms. Huma, it's very much on the list, and it's there for them to enjoy.
Very nice. We love the fact that we know that these visitors, they're getting the authentic Lucian experience. And one of the things that Sean mentioned previously, that we see some of them making St. Lucia their home as well, which tells us that we're doing something right.
Yes, that's true. So some of them, they stay on, they may stay on a couple of months, they bring their families over. So it's all about experience everything that St. Lucia has to offer. So it's not just in and out for the purpose of the ARC, it's really them being involved in our country, in our culture. And I mean, the more that we can show them the hospitality and why it's worth taking the risk, I guess, to sail over the Atlantic and be part of the St. Lucian experience, then we're happy to do so.
Very nice, very nice. Peter, I know that in terms of the preparation and people coming. It's 2,700 nautical miles. When they get to St. Lucia, I can imagine the stories from the seas are usually very interesting, and it's nice for them to be able to dock and to be able to take in the lovely welcome that Event St. Lucia and the rest of the partners have for them. Can you highlight for us, you mentioned earlier, in terms of the training that goes into this for some of them in terms of the preparation before they leave? I can imagine that there's a lot of measures that you need to ensure that they go through for that.
Absolutely, and Las Palmas, we make sure that they have their seminars and they understand what's going through, because every skipper is responsible for his boat and his crew. So the safety measures are essential, that we ensure that every boat is up to the safety requirements for them to cross the Atlantic, because it's on everyone's bucket list that's on there, but it's not an easy trip. There are dangers that are involved, so they need to make sure that everyone is ready to be able to do that, so that when they do arrive in St. Lucia, and that Sean was saying what his favorite part was for me, is when the boats arrive. They are so, they've done it, they've made it, they've actually made it and crossed the Atlantic, so the excitement when they arrive and they dock, whether it's at 2 in the morning or it's at 10 in the morning and they get their rum punch, it's kind of, it's a wonderful thing to see. And we've got such a well set up calendar for this time of the year that it's for after the COVID years, as we call them, the calendar is now really full and very interesting of what we're doing. If there's changes, there's the boat trips, there's welcome parties, there's early arrivals, there's IGY has a special that puts on. So on all of that, there's many things to be done, and it's exciting for them and for us to be able to ensure that they have a good time when they do it.
Nice. And you mentioned that the calendar highlight for us, because we know it's 2022, it also goes into 2023. Can you highlight the calendar a little more for us?
Well, for ARC, like we say, every other day there's something set up for them to do. And I'm trying to remember everything that is there, and of course it ends with the prize giving, but before that we have the SLTA ECSL welcome that's going to be at the Sandals Golf and Country Club. We have IGY Marina has their welcome party that happens on the marina as well. We've got the
Christo lectures.
Yes,
Christo, yes,
Christo lectures that go through. We have
Farmers Market.
Farmers Market goes through all the time, so there's so many things that are happening. We have a theme party at the St. Lucia Yacht Club. We have a sunset cruise that goes through. And then, of course, that all culminates with the Beau Séjour and the prize giving for saying thank you to the boats that have come through and what they've done and what they've achieved. If there's the other calendar will come through with ARC January, smaller scale, but it will be still there. And, of course, we have World ARC. There's 2 World ARCs next year, January. We have the World ARC that circumnavigates the globe as normal, and then we have a second World ARC because there was such a demand for it that will be World ARC Pacific, which will go as far as Australia for this year.
Very nice. And I know that I mentioned some of the sponsors earlier, but there are quite a few people this year making the ARC possible. Mr. Sadani, can you just highlight, of course, I know that for you the sponsors are very important, yes, and you like to give them the shine and the recognition that they need. So just highlight for us the sponsors this year making it possible.
Okay, sure. Definitely, what's important is that we have sponsors that are with us every single year, and we're grateful. We do not take that for granted. Sponsorship is hard to come by, and the fact that we have companies like Massey Sixt, I see our Sixt representative here, thank you very much. It's a joy, and it means that we're doing something right, and we would like to say thank you to all our sponsors. There are 22 of them, Huma. I don't want to risk calling their names out. I don't have the paper in front of me, and I will miss some. But I just really want to say thank you to all our sponsors. I mean, we have them categorized, but they're all contributing. It would not have been possible, not in the least, were it not for our sponsors, and they do it with us every single year, and we're grateful for that.
And from World Cruising Club as well, we'd like to thank all the sponsors that have made it possible for us to come down here and for our participants to enjoy St. Lucia fully and do it constantly every year. So our thanks too.
Nice, thank you for that. We would like to, of course, give them just a little more love, because again, without you, it's not possible. So let's take in a show reel of the sponsors for the ARC 2022-2023. And it is the media launch for ARC 2022-2023. We're about to close it off for you to give you, of course, the information that you need to ensure that you don't miss out on the staple, which is part of our tourism calendar. It's one that we look forward to year after year, and we're happy that it's growing and continuing right here in St. Lucia. Of course, in terms of ensuring that we have all the information that we need, ensuring that, you know, we thank everybody who's making this possible, and to, of course, invite our St. Lucians to be a part of the experience as well. Thaddeus, I want you to just give us a little bit, again, insight to round it off first.
Yeah, I mean, the ARC really has been a staple of 33 years in St. Lucia, and I see it part of our festive activities. It's always around Christmas time, and with now the ARC January and the World ARC, it extends the period beyond December into January, February. And, you know, from a tourism point of view, we always wanted to have a further regatta to extend the period. So I'm happy that, you know, the World Cruising Club is coming on board and doing so. The impact on the economy is so great. And we look at villa tourism in terms of villa rental, villa ownership, which is very big in St. Lucia. I don't think many St. Lucians realize that, but it's big business in St. Lucia. And when the sailors come down here, they invest in property in St. Lucia, which becomes part and forms part of our tourism in terms of our room stock that we need. So it helps quite a bit. We spoke about the taxi drivers, the car rental companies, the beverage companies, which all in turn employ people. And those people in turn who are employed have family to take care of. So it's really a great multiplier effect that takes place around the festive season, which is very important to us. And it's a gift, if you like. And we all want like gifts during Christmas time. So, you know, we're just really looking forward to the ARC this year.
Nice. Peter, what about you? Highlights for you? Anything that in particular you're looking forward to or you enjoy about the ARC experience?
Well, like Thaddeus says, it's around the Christmas time, so the festivities are always there for when the ARC arrives. But now that we have ARC January, and especially for next year, we have the 2 World Arcs starts from here as well. It's just elongated and stretched out the ARC season, which is wonderful, and makes them stay a little longer. And the best part is that happens throughout the year that people, I don't think, really realize is that the boats return. They may go through the Caribbean, but they'll come back. They'll come and visit St. Lucia again because they truly enjoy being in St. Lucia. They go through the islands, they want to see it, they want to know it. We're not, the participants aren't tourists per se, they are travelers, and so they want to get to know St. Lucia more, and they'll come back to get to know St. Lucia even after the ARC is completed, and they'll do it over and over and over again. So that is one of the nicest parts, is that like Christmas, it comes back every year. There's a synergy between St. Lucia and the ARC itself, where the participants, once they get to know St. Lucia, once they get here, they fall in love with it like everyone else should. And those that do repeat are always coming back to stay. So that's one of the nicest things about the ARC in St. Lucia. There's a friendship there that has lasted a very long time.
Nice, and it's we're getting ready to welcome the fleet that just left Las Palmas,
Right.
but also there's ARC January that we're looking forward to as well.
Yes, and the World Arcs.
And the World Arc.
Yeah.
So it's quite nice that it's starting in 2022, it's extending to 2023, and that's something we can expect. So we're saying goodbye to 1 year with the ARC and we're saying hello to the other.
Absolutely.
The gift that continues to give.
I like that.
That is a very
I
good
like
one.
that. I like that very much. In terms of information that you think, Peter, that we absolutely need to remember, that you want our listeners to ensure, and our viewers as well, to ensure that they keep in mind in terms of the ARC, the arrivals, the events, and just encouraging them to be a part of the experience.
Absolutely. They can go on our website to watch the boats coming through as well. But the Wave will have the information constantly about it, and you can win a lot of prizes with that. And I'm always really thrilled when I listen to the Wave radio and they talk about the ARC and the prizes that can be won when people follow them to see who's coming in, which boats are which. It's actually the excitement just grows. So there's nothing nicer than when the boats come in, because they've crossed the Atlantic, they're there, and we're just as thrilled to have them as they are to get in.
Nice. What about you, Thaddeus? Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
I just wanted to start. I wanted boats to get there and look forward to the rum punch made by distillers. I really like that part of it. The music, hearing one of the local bands participate. It just enhances Christmas time for me, and I look forward to it. And I invite all of St. Lucia to take part of it, as they've done in previous years. Agreed,
definitely. It's quite exciting, and of course we are encouraging you to take it in, to follow, of course, all the information when it comes to ARC 2022-2023. And at this point, of course, I'd like to say thank you and to recognize all the people making it possible for yet another year. The ARC Planning Committee, chaired by Mr. Anthony Bagas, we're saying thank you to you. The sponsors, gold, silver, bronze, as well as supporting sponsors, the Wave Radio Station, Flu St. Lucia, Stix Car Rentals, Stix Rental Car, as well as Sol AC, who are gold sponsors. Silver sponsors, we have Lucian Style Development Corp, also Mercury, Island Marine Supplies Inc., and Yanmar as well. With our bronze sponsors, Massey Stores St. Lucia, we have Heineken St. Lucia Distillers, and Peter and Company Distributors as well. And supporting sponsors, can't forget them, we have the Bay Gardens Resorts, Big Chef Steakhouse, we have Blue Monkey, as well as Felly Belly, Favors of the Grill, KFC Real Foods Inc., we have Subway, Rituals, Splash Island Water Park, we have Touch Therapies, Day Spa, as well as Domino's Pizza. We're saying thank you to all those sponsors who are on for 2022-2023. Of course, we'd like to also say thank you to the IGY Rodney Bay Marina, as well as the World Cruising Club, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, the Ministry of Tourism for the hard work that they're putting in, as well as Events Company of St. Lucia Inc., Government of St. Lucia, again through the Ministry of Tourism. Of course, thank you so much for putting in the effort to ensure that we get to enjoy enjoy ARC 2022-2023. And of course, with that, we'd like to say thank you for joining us for the media launch of the ARC here in St. Lucia. And we hope that you, of course, follow the event as we get ready to welcome vessels to our shores at the IGY Rodney B. Marina.